Hello everyone, welcome to the YouTube Mile Builders Thursday night general hangout. Thursday's hangouts are for the general discussion on mile railroading that we all can set a topic to discuss for the night. Thursday's hangouts are the proud sponsor of the Tuesday night presentations, the YouTube Mile Builders, eMag, and the YouTube Mile Builders live show. I want to say thanks for everybody joining in tonight's show. And here's your host for the night, Johnny Reb of Southeast Rails. Well, howdy, everybody. All right, y'all, unmute your mics now. See, we got Dwight and Robert over there, and hey, I'm good for a race. I'll be glad to take that. I like the way Robert thinks. He said triplet. I'll get 4 zeros now instead of just 1. Let's see who we got here. We got Lloyd, and we got Josh and Stu, and Lee will be back, and Jim over here.
How's everybody doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Evening of playing with toys. It's all good. I needed a break from the monotony of some of the other things I've been doing, so I broke out an old, I like passenger cars, and I very rarely have taken the time to really get out some of my stuff and work on it for a long time. I was going over here on my shelf and looking through my stuff, and there's an old car I bought a long time ago from Eastern Car Works in Pennsylvania. I don't even think they've been around for a long time, but their kits are really pretty impressive. I mean, they've got tons of detail. The rivets are even right on them. They're an old kit, but really nice stuff. Figured I'd try putting one of those together and playing with it for a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Lloyd's busy on a scratch build.
Yeah, working on a engine house.
Cool.
That I've seen from, who was it? Oh, here we go. I'll just show you what I'm, if I can share screen. You see the building?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm scratch building. Give me an idea of what I want.
You gonna put the office on it too?
Yep.
Okay.
Except that it's going to go in the back. Yeah, so I've got a small town and I've got a yard in it, so might as well put one. I got room for it.
Yeah.
I'd love to get to the point I could work on this roundhouse for the yard I'm playing with, but it's a long way down the road. Got my last tower build coming out in the morning. I tried to download it, something went wrong with it, so I got to retry it in the morning. But you know, while I was finishing this last phase of doing the tower, they tore the tower down.
Uh-oh.
I've got some pictures at the end of the video of the tower coming down. A friend of mine that had worked there for years was there that day. I couldn't get up there, and he took several pictures of him tearing it down, though. Let me use it for my video. So.
Well, that's good of him.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah, another one bites the dust.
Let's see, we got John over here. He just come in. Randy Rock and Roll is with us now in the chat. I'll tell you what, Lloyd, you mind giving us a quick rundown on the Amherst show?
Sure.
Your take on it?
Well, I was there I arrived on Wednesday because I was taking part in the clinics on Thursday and Friday with Miles. Well, Miles Clinics. And for my first clinics, it was great. I learned a lot. Not to stab yourself with an X-Acto knife, that's one thing. What did I do? I did background trees, foreground trees, landscape, airbrushing, small build, do-it-yourself electronics, and the other two I can't remember. So that was, like I said, that was fun. We had supper with Miles on Friday night. There was 15 of us. And as for the show, got there at 8:45, doors open at 9. And I was very impressed. It was huge. It was very huge. They had 4 buildings. Miles had warned us that there's a lot of walking. So at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I couldn't walk anymore. We were walking on concrete floors. But I knew what I was looking for, so I didn't stop at every booth. Like, I was not looking at secondhand freights or things like that. I did look at some layouts, but I had specifics, like I had to go see NCE, Atlas, Scenic Express, and a bunch of others. So I was there, like I said, from 9 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon, and I had seen almost everything. I thought it would be something that I would go every year, but I don't think I'll go every year. Maybe every 3-4 years, something new comes up.
Yeah.
But for a first experience, it was great. It was great.
Yeah, kind of a learning experience from what I hear from people too, the first time.
Yeah. If the next time I go, I'll be more like, I'll know exactly what to look for. But definitely somebody who's starting a layout, 2 days is probably not enough. But my layout is all the framework is done, all my tracks are installed, and I have all my buildings. So it was mainly scenery and electronics that I had to go look for. But there's so much stuff. I don't know if you can see on the wall.
Right there.
My CP. This is all laser cut, and it's got LEDs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Yeah. It's got 20 layers. Especially this one has 20 layers of laser cut wood, and all assembled, painted. When I saw it, I said, "You're coming with me," because it's the right era. It's the 70s. It's what, FB7, F7.
Yeah, I think that's what we determined it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sparky was talking about seeing one of those, and he wanted to get one.
I know a few people that got one also. So yeah, so that's one thing I bought. Another thing was when I took the Iwata clinic. I've had an airbrush now for almost a year, and it's still in the box. I haven't used it. I'm scared of touching it. So I took the clinic, and I saw that he had a compressor, one of those small compressors that barely makes any noise. So I bought that. And then I bought a cleaning car, a freight car, with the two, there's two, what do you call it? Yeah, two rotating pads, yeah. So those three items kind of blew my budget, so I couldn't spend any more. Hey, Andy.
Hey, buddy. How are you, Lloyd?
Good.
I could sure go for one of those little compressors. Don't make any noise. This big Bostic makes a lot of racket.
Yeah, when I have those too.
So now that I took the clinic, I should be able to do some weathering.
Hey, buddy. Hey, Josh. How are you? Amazing. I love the airbrush, man. I'm glad that I was afraid of it for a long time too. I'm really glad I took it on. It's just infinitely useful. I mean, I've spray painted river bottoms. I mean, for scenery and all kinds of stuff. It's just incredibly useful.
Oh, Andy's working?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right?
Yes, sir. I'm doing good. Trying to get some work done myself. Trying to get all this wiring out. My main, I guess, electrical panel, I guess you want to call it. My LED lighting and DCC and my accessory power supply. I got this here is my LED lighting. This here's for my accessories, my dimmers for my LEDs, and then all my DCC over here. Been multitasking actually, because I got this going on, and then I got, which I'm pretty excited about, I actually just got my backdrop in today in the mail.
Where'd you get that from?
Backdrop. I got it from Lark Products, LARC Products.
Yeah, did you order the backdrops from them, or did you just get the CD with the data on it?
No, I actually ordered the backdrops. I didn't get no CD.
Yeah, well, and
I
he
picked
has
out my pictures. And, well, the picture I picked out, we had to combine another one to make up the 15 feet I needed and make it not so it's not blurry. But let me pan the camera around real quick so you can see. And it's really messy in my room. So if you all see a mess in here,
I'll feel at home. You're right.
yeah. It's really messy in here right now because I'm actually doing my fascia right now. I'm actually plastering my fascia. So that's my. Of course, I got to cut the sky out of it yet, but it's the foreground trees are 7 inches tall. And then I got the rest of the roll over there. The rest of the rolls. But
So how long is each segment? 4 feet, something like that?
well, you by choice, you could order the way you want it. I ordered in 3 sections.
Yeah.
He recommended me to do it in 3 sections. You could order it in the whole 15 feet if you want.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's your preference on how you want to order it. So, but you know what though, it's vinyl. It's got a sticky back on it. the print quality on it's really, really nice, man. Really nice. I like it. I can't wait to get some structures in front of it and some foreground trees. It's going to look really cool. And it'll look even cooler on my face at that. But I got to get my LED lights running back up and running before I do any scenery, because having lighting makes a difference in what you're doing as far as colors and scenery. And now I can't get my darn thing.
In my opinion, lighting is about as critical as anything you do on your layout. If there's nothing you get right about your layout, get the lighting right. Because if you don't get the lighting right, then nothing else will be.
That's right. It's going to be mounted in between two of my. You're talking about this panel right here, right? That your camera. Yeah, that's going to be mounted between. Yeah, I guess I quit messing with that thing because I ain't working. It's going to be mounted right between those two. You'll be able to see him when you walk into the room. You'll be able to see it. But yeah, that's why I'm trying to kind of make it as nice as I can, because I don't know, something about me that I just like seeing electronic stuff just kind of nice and neat and kind of sitting there. Kind of being an Andy, actually, but
Being an Andy, all right.
a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah,
Not too much.
that's all right. A little bit of it's okay. A lot of it, you'll lose your mind. End up like me. You don't want that.
And, it makes it really accessible. Just keep it neat, organized. I actually ordered and I got right now is a label maker, so all this will be labeled and stuff like that. So.
Oh yeah, I'm obsessive about labels. I'll tell you what, man. There's a label maker made by Epson. I've got one, and it Bluetooths or Wi-Fi or you USB into a computer. But the easiest way to do it is just Bluetooth from your phone with an Epson app, and you can tell it what you want it to print. And this is not expensive. It's a $100 label maker, and it prints off. I've got rolls that are 1/4 inch wide all the way up to an inch wide. You can get it, various colors. Black on white.
$20 on mine. Mine's this right here. I just bought this guy here.
Yeah, I've had a bunch of Dymos, and they're good label makers, no question. This Epson LW600, I think is what it is, and it's a little brick unit. But you Bluetooth with your phone, but you can put images on the thing, and $100 or a little cheaper, and you can buy all the different sizes. Great for computer equipment. That's why I printed all the little labels that are on the front edge of my layout right now.
Andy, don't get me started on. Come on, man. See, that's why I said only a little bit of you.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you're pretty good at you label your label maker.
No, but yeah, that'd probably be in the future. But that'd be something I want to do to mark my industries and my fascia and stuff. That'd be a good. I'd probably talk to you about that more about later, or you.
Well, there's some companies. Oh yeah, there's some companies out there that make some plates. That's what I'm going to buy eventually. Is some little plates with the names on them that look like railroad signs.
Little bit at a time, right? Little bit at a time.
That's it, man. I got 1,000 projects, so that's not high on my list right now.
Yeah, that's like me. I got to get this fascia done and the wiring done, and then I can start moving on. Main thing is I want to get at least a locomotive and a couple rail cars going down the track somewhere. But which I did, where I was showing where the backdrop was. It's actually covered up with paper, and I got track laid, but I had to fix my backdrop real quick, so I had to replaster an area. So I covered it all up with some masking and some some paper and stuff, so I don't make a mess of my track, because I don't want to clean out all the cracks and crevices with plaster dust. So I covered it all up. But they got the track all laid and all my feeder wires already ran. I just got to run the bus wire and finish this guy right here, and I'll be up and running here pretty soon with my LED lights and my locomotive or two here pretty soon.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah. No hurries. No hurries, man. Getting too much of a hurry and you'll make mistakes, or you'll wind up not liking what you did.
Well, that's why a lot of people get in a hurry for it, and I try to mention the fact that auto railroading, building a layout, is absolutely, if there's anything in the world that's about the journey, auto railroading is about the journey. So, somebody said that here recently, and it was I'd always thought about it, but never put it in that term. But it was a pretty well worded thing.
Well, I got a journey
Well,
for y'all. Mike M here says, "Hey guys, love the show. Doing a diorama of a Santa Fe type mission style depot, the one in Berkeley, California. Any idea on where I could find a kit that's even close?"
Spader style. I think me and Rob were talking about that, or maybe it was me and Rob. Me and somebody was talking about that the other day. There's a company that makes a Spanish style depot.
I think Walters just came out with one, didn't they?
Is that right? Is that who it is? There was a wood manufacturer. Maybe not wood. There was a 5-scale-ish kit, not $300. You know, like South River Bottle Works or 5-scale miniatures, but a high quality in resin. I think resin hydrocal. That was Spanish style Santa Fe. Also, imagine that laser art, which I'm a huge fan of, makes a bunch of Santa Fe wood kits.
If you can think of a name, I actually got my I got a catalog out right now, but I'm looking up the Walters one right now for that guy. The one that I know, it's actually based in Los Angeles, but it's kind of an old style looking building.
Yeah, John said. Yeah, John was saying try Ventura Hobbies.
Sure, Hobbies. It rings a bell, but the bells ain't working right now.
All right, I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's one. Here's one I can't let go. Of course, Robert is saying, "Be very careful, James." And he's fixing to find out why. But James is asking, does anyone know how to weather a livestock car? Well, I guess that depends on how much of weathering detail you want to get into. You know, how realistic do you want it to be?
I had this conversation with somebody not long ago, and Andy, you weren't there, but we were talking about you at the time because you like realistic, everything, including sound. And we thought, sometimes I wonder if realistic smell might be an important part of layout building.
I do a little bit of that. I've got that smoke thing that smells like coal.
Yeah.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
I never got a chance to email you that, and I do apologize. But here's that. It's Model Masters, not Testers.
Model Masters. What's it say? Transparent black window tint. I am writing that down. I can find
black window transparent tint, and part number on it is 2949.
Is that an enamel?
49.
Is it an enamel?
49. It is. It's a lacquer.
Yeah, that's what I figured it would be. Yeah.
There's the label right there.
Transparent black window tint. Awesome. The question is $6,000, $6 million question is, will it stick to plexiglass? And we may find
the plastic of those windows that I told you about on the. If I could find the windows that I sprayed with these. But the key to this thing is if you don't care what it looks like on the inside, you need to have at least 6 or more inches away when you spray this, and you're going to do it in very light coats.
Right. Anything that comes in a rattle can, that's true.
I don't know what I did with those windows.
Well, while you're looking for that, James, best thing I can tell you, which Ralph has just gotten in here, so I think he'll appreciate me repeating his words, is go online, look up pictures of cattle stock cars and see what they look like, and that's what you want to go by. You definitely don't want to go by memory.
That's right.
You need some peeling paint effect, because every stock car I've seen pictures of looks like the paint's coming off from them.
That's just what I was going to say.
But the one thing they used to do was coat the bottom of the car with lime. Every so often they'd spray another coat of lime on it.
So you'd get that white coming down off the bottom sills as it came out of the hole of the car. Yeah.
I've got to have a few of those. I bought one of those so far. I got to buy some more of those cars.
Here you go, Rod. Is this your cousin, Zane's Trains and Things?
Well, not quite, but...
It's from a different In Things family. That's from the Irish In Things group.
I actually think he borrowed that from me, but he asked my permission before he did, so I appreciated that. But, yeah, I'm familiar with Zane. No, I'm from the Irish In Things. He must be from the Welsh In Things or something.
There you go. Different family heritage. That's right.
That's right.
Well, I hope that helped you out, James. You know, just go look at pictures. Find one you like, print it out. That's what you go by.
And Ralph shows on weathering respect. I mean, I'm doing it his way too. I've done it several other ways, using inks and all kinds of stuff. But that stuff that he talks about on his shows, that watercolor. I mean, I like the oil weather, and I was already experimenting with that anyway because a lot of people do that. And it's really good. That watercolor paint is absolutely incredible to work with.
Gouaches.
Gouaches. That's my favorite thing to work with I've ever worked with as far as paint goes.
But
so easy.
You have to use a makeup sponge.
Yep. Yeah, I've used it a couple different ways. Makeup sponge does soak it up better, work with it better. It is great to work with though.
If you're used to working with straight oils, my experience is it takes just a little bit to get the hang of the feel of it. But once you, I mean, the effects are worth it. I've been playing with it too for the last 2 or 3 months, and I'm really liking where it's coming along.
But oils work. They're kind of a funny thing to wrap your head around the way it works. So, and the way I kind of think about it, or wrap my head around it, is that with paint or with acrylic or whatever, you're applying paint. You are putting it on. With oil, you're putting it on and then pushing it around on the surface, and then leaving whatever you pushed around to let evaporate, let it go off. So if you think about putting it there, then you're just pushing it around. You're not covering that area. You're just pushing it around the surface. That may not be exactly right, but that's how I feel about it.
It's pretty close.
If you're mixing mediums, it also gives you a bunch of neat techniques when you're mixing mediums with it too.
Absolutely. And the mineral spirits, everybody says turpentine. I've watched a lot of people do it with turpentine, and they get fine results. But boy, mineral spirits sure does work a lot better with it.
Mineral spirits, turpentine, will attack some plastics, and not all styrenes are created equal.
Yep.
No doubt.
And don't ever use turpenoid, because that will definitely attack your plastic.
Turpenoid doesn't work very good for me. It's great for cleaning the brushes and stuff. So I got a bottle of turpenoid. I don't know about great, but I've got a bottle of turpenoid. Stuff's not cheap, so I've been using it until I run out of it. I'll just keep using it to clean brushes in.
And if
I've used terpenoid just for using, like if I'm doing pure oils just for some streaking effects. The terpenoid seems to streak it pretty well.
You're better off with the mineral spirits.
I've never tried that effect with the mineral spirits.
Nowadays, you can get the mineral spirits with a no odor, odorless.
What's the fun of that?
Yeah.
Well, hey, I love the smell of lacquer in the morning, so mineral spirits is just an added feature.
There you go.
Kind of reminds me of mechanic days. Sitting over top of a tub of mineral spirits, cleaning up parts.
Yep.
Well, Ron, I'll have to keep searching for those examples, but I've given up on the darn thing. I can't find. I got so much stuff scattered everywhere right now. I can't find anything right now. I actually finding stuff going, oh, I actually have that.
I don't know what that's like.
Did I hear Lee say he's given up?
I'm not giving up yet, but
Well, yeah, you just said I'm giving up on it.
That was,
now
just
I am.
that was just the first time he said he was giving up. That's just the threat. He ain't really gave up yet. It takes you can say I've given up about 6 times before it means anything.
All right, fair enough.
That's just me. That's me getting aggravated.
Yeah.
Aha.
I can't find. Hey, you know what? And I bet you it's staring me right in the face.
Probably is.
And I'm not seeing
That's
it.
usually what
Yeah,
happens.
probably. Yep.
All right, somebody
I
get a
can't find
bacon
it.
rattler, start shaking it. That'll be the snake that's about to bite him.
I still got baby bottles. You want me to drink in the camera too, or what?
Well, I'll tell you what, Lee, when you find it, snap a picture and email it to me.
I sure will. I will. I got the building. I know I got the windows, so I don't know what I did with the windows. I didn't.
That
install
makes
the windows
sense.
Yet. Yeah. I don't know what I did with the windows, man. I won't stop looking now. Anyways, sorry. For John's comment, wait until I go to Georgia.
Oh, don't tell him I moved.
No doubt.
Question that first thing Monday morning. I want to go to Georgia. I gotta see somebody real quick. They said something about they wanted to rattle. Let's see, and L is black.
All right, we got Mr. William PT here. He said, I've been looking for ideas for a cottonseed mill on YouTube. Any ideas?
Cottonseed mill.
Yeah.
I have to look that up to know much about what that is.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's not. I don't know if you want to call them a mill anymore, but there's one in. I mean, I could tell them where to look for one, but as far as making one or finding a model for one, good luck.
All right, John. Have a good one at the game.
Shapeways.
What?
John's stepping out. He's going to his grandson's basketball game.
What's some odd part that's hard to come by? Somebody on Shapeways probably has made one.
Or close to something like that, and you could request to have something made if you could find the stuff for it, parts for it, or pictures or measurements and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And that's not the cheapest way to get something, but if you need a special item kind of one off, Shapeways get you about anything if you're in the right scales. I mean, most of the stuff you need for like N scale, Shapeways not really that valuable. At HO scale, it starts to become useful, I think.
You can find quite a bit in N-scale on Shapeways, and you can find a lot of people that design too.
Okay, I figured Shapeways was. I mean, it's really great. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, you could go to Shapeways, search for HO scale, and page after page after page of some of the oddest stuff. I mean, all the way from locomotive shells to freight cars. You probably don't want to pay the prices for them because you buy a caboose on Shapeways. That's a $70, $60 print. But for small detail parts, I mean, I've got fire hydrants from Shapeways and air vents and bridge shoes and, you know, detail parts like that. Oddball stuff that are really good.
Bottles.
Oh yeah, HO scale pop bottles. I mean, they are the smallest things. I need to use some of those. They are the oddest thing in the world. And then, like pipe fittings, I got all of these parts to make. I'll show you. I do the.
So is there a difference in the milk bottles and the pop bottles?
I don't know. Probably not. Oh no, a milk bottle. Yeah, there are some milk bottles that are those wide mouth, like they used to deliver milk.
Yeah.
But the ones I have are like a pop bottle.
Okay.
But I got all these plumbing parts to make that up with, and they have the flanges and the quarters and that air glass. I got to put a wheel on top of it for that cutoff valve. All to make that, you know, that little feed, and that's all whatever 3D printed parts.
Except in HO, the bottles are so small you can't tell which one's which.
Yeah.
Oh, they're insane. If I had painted them up,
the ones
in
that
for garbage.
Look like you can make them look like a beer bottle or a Pepsi bottle or a Coke bottle. Or...
Yeah, here I'll show you these. I bought a slew of these things because I figure. So that the size of the end of my finger. That is 100 of them.
How big is your finger?
1/100th of an HO scale pop bottle.
About the same size as some of your computer keys, so that puts it in perspective too.
That's right. Yeah, slightly smaller, and it's 100.
Even, yeah.
I was going to ask.
Wow, that's 100 of them.
Yeah.
I was going to ask what those would look like in N-scale, but I'm just going to retract the question now.
Yeah, right.
I can't imagine that being. I mean, even at HO scale, they're almost unusable. But you could see them. I mean, if they were sitting on a table somewhere, or I'm going to throw them under the bridge. You know, under the bridge piers. Throw a few of them around.
Well, I thought you were going to say under the bus, but that's okay.
Yeah, throw them under the bus too.
Yeah. All right, Andy, while you got those balls there, Bill Fusion said he's wondering what are the calories on those.
Oh, I'm not sure, but the consequence to your blood pressure from messing with them is a little high because I've already lost a few of them trying to hold them with tweezers. I mean, they go ding.
What was that way you found for staining them? How was it you did that?
I've done it a couple ways, but my favorite way is I gotta think of what kind of paint that was that I was using, but it's an acrylic basically, and I threw them in a cup. I couldn't get them to take stain very well. That 3D printed material, that FUD, frosted ultra detail, doesn't take paint well unless it's a complete coverage coat. But I threw them at the bottom of a little plastic Dixie cup with about, a quarter inch of paint and let them set for several days. And the paint basically evaporated out, and I knocked them off, and they took color.
Yeah.
It's plastic. You would think they would absorb it, but.
Yeah. How you doing, Sparky? Yeah, Dan, the question earlier was he wanted to know who may have a kit that be close or is a cottonseed mill. But Dan's saying there's a cottonseed mill in Oklahoma City.
Cottonseed, I have to go. Well, let's look that up. See what that looks like.
There's one in Fresno, California too. I used to go there a lot.
Does it look anything like a corn mill?
That's what I was wondering, because there's a lot of that stuff available. Oh, I gotta search for play it, because that's just. Well, that's not gonna do it.
A lot of them I went to, they look like the from the Walters kit that they have for the concrete plant, where they store the powder. I don't know what the name of the building would be, but it's like the.
That's kind of what I had in mind. Kind of retrofit it to
that's
how you want it to look.
But I'm seeing a lot of this kind of stuff that looks like, you know, but I think that's cottonseed oil refining. I think that's what I'm looking at here.
Well, is he looking for machinery or is he looking for a building though?
That's the question. Are you talking? Is it a plant, a factory?
Yeah, he's looking for a building because he says cottonseed mill. So he's looking for the building.
Yeah, well, here. I tell him, here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I just got too, Andy.
Yeah, that triangle building in the back, that's like the main part of the cottonseed mill right there. That triangle part right there. One with the triangle
really
roof.
Interesting. You know, that wouldn't be that hard to fabricate. It's just a. Is it a?
I mean, obviously he's not looking for a scratch building, but Walters does make the concrete plant with that building in it. Yeah, like that, like what Jim's showing.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah,
exactly
that's what I'm looking at that one back there too.
Yeah. Yep.
That wouldn't be hard to. There's not a lot of detail or complexity in the actual structure, so it wouldn't be a hard scratch if you just got. And the angles look like a, like a 12 pitch roof, like a 45-degree roof, 612 pitch roof. So if you, and I'm assuming it's corrugated metal, I'm not sure, but if
he's not looking. If he's not looking, you see right here, they got something similar, all like they got. Except for
that's a decent start. Yeah, that would be a decent start to what I'm seeing here too. And see, Walters makes all those conveyors. And funny as this is, and actually I think they discontinued it. And I'm not a Bachmann fan in a lot of ways as a company, but Bachmann makes a series of structures that are brass. Genuine brass structures. And go look at a water tower from Precision Design or something in brass. That's a $200 structure. And they sell those structures for like $50, and it's a brass silo, grain silos, or the loading bins and stuff. But they also make conveyors in brass that would be spectacular. So you could use those conveyors, and the loading bins and stuff from Bachmann, and then just build the core structure.
Well, that all depends on the modeler that what he was asking for right now. I mean, if he's looking to hand, build from scratch, or he's just willing to spend money on expensive stuff, or just buy a couple kits to make one up. So look at him now. I mean, has he answered back, Johnny?
No.
No. If it were me, if I was looking for something like that, I'd probably buy two of them and put those two together and use the conveyors to kind of make it look like something like that.
That's a pretty interesting.
Not to get too.
I like that. That's cool.
I do too. That's a really interesting structure. And if you've got it along a backdrop, you just need to model half of it. Model the slope up, run it into the wall, call it a day.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting businesses, man. What they do with them, what they do with the cotton.
And they're making meal out of it and getting an oil out of it, I assume.
Yeah, and there's probably like maybe 4 or 5 people that run the whole operation.
Yeah. Oh, that's like the coal industry. Those huge facilities, a coal loader, a prep plant, a modern prep plant will be 9 stories, generally 8. Most of the time, the modern ones are 9 stories. Huge, massive complexes that spread a quarter mile in one direction of various structures. There's 5 people there, and 3 of them are drinking coffee all day in the office. So,
sounds like a place I need to be at.
and you got a guy who goes out ever so often. These are details that you don't see people model, even in the coal industry. They have auto samplers that pull a little cut of coal ever so often and sample it. So ever so often, a guy will go up and grab a bag off the auto sampler, take it back down to the lab to test it for, you know, for whatever they're worried about testing for.
All right, Sparky. None of the above. I think they're either talking about Andy or Jim while they wear a hat all the time, but it's none of the above.
Jim.
He's saying Jim. No hair, bad hair day, didn't pay the gas bill. Yes.
all those bad hair. I got it, but it's just.
It's been a while since I've been to the barber.
Yeah, me too.
And
when winter time comes, man, I'll go without my hat some of the summer, but in the winter time, man, keep shambling.
Well, I got a hat like yours, Andy, and I was going to wear it last week, and I'm like, no, I'll get too much grief for trying to look like Andy.
I think, hey, I'll be right back.
Uh-oh.
I'm scared.
See, Jim, you done got made him mad now.
I'm scared of what he's going to come back with.
Oh, jeez. He's going to come back with like a cat in a hat or something.
He's going to come back with a jester's hat with little bells on it.
They're going to pull out the bob and come back with a conductor's hat on.
Now, this is my preference. And when I was a young man, I wore a fedora all the time.
I have a fedora similar to that, and I love it. And my wife gives me grief every time I put it on, so I rarely pull it out. But when it's really, I don't like to wear a hat unless it's a hat like that, because caps, my head is odd shaped. They look ridiculous on me. And but when it gets really cold, I pull the fedora out.
Oh, there's nothing like a fedora. That felt hat will keep you warm. And the rain, I don't worry about it at all. I mean, it's like an umbrella. And in my young years, I wore a fedora all the time. And I had some bowler hats. But I love a fedora. It's just a bit much for most of the time. This is so easy.
I did find somewhat of a scratch-built industry for you guys.
I've got a felt hat. Felt hat I use when I'm out bushcrafting and stuff. I was going to throw it on, but it's like halfway smashed at the moment. So,
and some of these hats, this one, you know, I can crumple it up, and I do it like military style. I shove it down the back of my pants, you know, at times when I don't want to wear a hat at a dinner table or something. But a fedora is a task. I mean, you're carrying a big thing around with you all the time. So
it's like those guys that wear the cowboy hats.
And I've got like an Australian bush hat kind of thing in the back of my, in the back deck of my car window. Just, if you're ever called out in the rain or something,
Man, that's why I have that wide brim one for bushcrafting, because when I'm out in the rain, it sheds water almost out to the end of my shoulders. So, it definitely keeps you dry. Nothing's going down your collar anyway.
Yeah, I got that little hook strap under it. I've got that one in the back deck of my car. If I'm ever out somewhere, break down or have some issue, it's a good thing to have. What were you talking about, Dad?
I did find somebody that did scratch build somewhat of a cottonseed oil mill.
Well, share it with us. Let's take a look. That's a beautiful structure, which I'm fascinated with. The thing I love about coal railroading has a lot more to do with the structures than it does the trains.
This is the mill that I found. He scratch built both this.
You're not screen sharing.
No.
You're not screen sharing.
Try that again.
It's been a little slow to kick in lately, it seems. So, oh yeah.
Both this building and this red building over here are scratch built, but he says that This is a Campbell's building.
Which wood?
This small building right here next
yeah,
to the seat.
Yeah, a little shady, a little office shady.
Yeah. And this one's made out of tombstone walls, which I have no idea.
And all the tanks and pumps are from the Walters Industries oil line. And Grant Line Corrugated Warehouse. And a bunch of people make corrugated material, so wouldn't be that hard to. All you gotta do is frame it up, put some paint on it.
And you were showing this building here, and that's what I had found about the cottonseed mill that was in Oklahoma. They actually shut it down.
That's what he's looking for, is the cottonseed mill.
Well, that wood that he was showing the kit bash of, or scratch build, that one, that's really close. It's selectively compressed, obviously, but
let's see here. Let's
see. It's piqued my curiosity. I sure would like to know what equipment inside requires that tall, steep roof like that.
Yeah, man, me too.
It's like your sugar beet plants. You'd have to have.
It's just I've been inside of them. It's just a big pile of. They separate the seed from the cotton, and it's just a big pile either. That's all it is.
And this is a cottonseed plant.
Yeah.
And that's all they are. They separate everything and use what they need to use. I don't know how it really operates, but I know those big triangle-looking buildings. That's where they store all the just piles. Either they'll bale it, they'll send
stored piles
seed back out to replant the cotton again, et cetera and et cetera.
Well, that makes sense, and it isn't nearly as interesting as what I was trying to envision. But they are neat looking buildings.
There's really not much in there except for machines that separate the cotton from the seed. I didn't know they made oil. I didn't know they made cotton seed oil, but
well, and I done some work recently at this out on this horrible way to show this.
That's cool.
This building is 7 stories tall. It's a fertilizer distributor on the. That's my business partner standing by the pile, but it's 8 stories tall. It's looks.
I've
like,
actually had my truck like that before.
Well, and it's got a feeder along the top, just like that cotton mill plant did, and across the top a conveyor system that feeds the material up there. Then they come in with an end loader and pick up loads of it for trucks. And it's in a building that's not that dissimilar, but it's not triangle in every direction. It's just triangle, but it's in that structure, which is like 7 stories tall.
Yeah.
I climbed all the way to the I climbed all the way to the top. Well, climb might be a strong word. I used a lift to get all the way to the top of that, almost to the top of that thing, to put wireless radios on it to shoot wireless across that facility.
Well, Andy, once you got your phone out, I got some information about that Bennett Supply I told you about a couple weeks back.
Bennett Supply. Oh yeah, okay.
They don't call it gator board, but it's a foam core, HDF, I believe they call it.
Okay, yeah, that's not that dissimilar, because really what gator board is MDF skid with a foam in the middle. It's medium density fiberboard. Well, it's a lot like that. It's a composite material. I bet what they're saying that HDF's probably they have an MDF, they have an HDF, a high density fiberboard that it's hard to get commercially. MDF's often used for like speaker cabinets.
Okay, so they supply all the way up to 2-inch thick and 49 by 97.
Yeah.
And they even go up to 2-inch thick and 49 by 121.
Wow. I knew they had, and they have that sounds like the same stuff because the Gator foam Gator board goes all the way up to 2 inches thick. I could not imagine what the price of it is, since a half inch sheet of it's over $100. Yeah, looks like the same stuff.
And they even it's thinklightweight.com is the website. I haven't looked at it yet, but I got
Think lightweight.
correct.
Yes, sir. Take care of that.
Oh yeah, okay. Some of the products they have are the honeycomb core as well.
Huh. Yeah, foam core faced with 1/8 inch HDF. That's exactly that material. It's just a matter of
Well,
yeah, the honeycombs.
the Gator board is like a 32nd of an inch skin on it of medium density.
Yeah. This might be a harder it's and stuff. I bet, boy, 2 inches it makes sense to make that stuff at a inch thick. But as you go down in thickness, they have to, they got to shrink the density of that skin as well.
When I was looking for it, I was told that they used it for highway signs. And I don't know how they treated the edge of it. But that particular, with the 1/8 inch facing on it, would make sense.
Uses even structural members, like the wide scale clinic. He had built all of his bench work and framing out of foam core, and several of these corrugated materials would make great structural members.
I mean, the weight difference is amazing, actually.
Yeah, so James Nelson was talking about these modern water towers. So I have some wireless equipment on a county water tower, and I'm getting ready to do 2 more of them. We cross-link wireless around the county, and that tower is like 120 at the platform, plus however tall the deck is. So because I'm out of my equipment down on the side rail, so I could get to it. That was at 120 feet in the air. I'd imagine 140 seems to be about what I'm seeing. I've seen some others that are larger, but it depends on how much water they're going to hold. In a rural area like I am, we've got like 6 towers around the county, and I think, as far as I know, they're about all identical. Itchy makes a couple different models. They're quite a bit smaller than what the ones we have here are. Remember, somebody else makes one that's slightly larger. I can't remember who it is.
I think most of the ones you see commercially are too short prototypically. I mean, Because yeah, I think 100. I think around 120, 130 feet is pretty close to standard. I mean, I'm sure they vary, but you know, in N scale that's 9 inches. In HO that's like 16 inches. You don't see too many, you know, commercial models that are that tall. They're too short.
Yeah, the Tichy, I tell you what, the Tichy HO scale tower would be about right for the id scale tower. If you replace the ladder on it, put an HO scale or an id scale ladder on the thing, it'd be pretty close to correct. And maybe if a man bought an O scale kit at HO scale to make a proper water tower, it's a pretty structure, but if you want to be, you know, if you care about the height being appropriate, I think I've said this 1,000 times, especially talking about trees. We've taken selective compression too far.
Yeah, when I did my pine tree video back, I don't know, way back, I guess, and several people that commented that were in scalers and said, "Oh, they're too tall," and I said, "Go out to a pine tree and stand at the base of it and look up."
Yeah.
It may look out of proportion to you on a layout because you're used to seeing trees that are too small.
I've argued extensively with people. They argue my trees are inappropriate because I've got 14-inch trees. But I did the research on the typical size of a tree. Things that are also quite common is the trees that you find, the Walthers. Actually, I had one. Oh, right there it is. These little trees that Woodland Scenic sells. Woodland Scenic sells some fine products. I got nothing against a whole lot of their stuff. That is in no way is the tree. It's the size of a bush. Even at id scale, it's not a good sized tree. It's at Z scale, maybe.
It's good for a fruit tree.
I'll tell you what it's.
Okay.
I'll tell you what it's perfect for. I'm modeling North Texas, and they make good mesquite trees because that's about the size mesquite trees are.
That makes sense. More like closer to being a bush.
It's no good for an oak tree. But,
Oh no! And a lot of the trees what most people model and what most trees you can buy are manicured trees in somebody's yard, and also where it's getting light all the way around it. Trees, just like a plate in your house. If you've got a house plate and you set the pot crooked, the plate will still grow up straight up, no matter what. It grows toward the light. Wherever the light is, it's going to grow toward that light. So if you think about that with your trees, so in my forest in sections, there's the vegetation of the tree, the foliage of the tree is on the top edges of it. It spots where light punches through. And the tree kind of does this kind of thing, and it's all pretty bare down here. So the only trees you see that are like an apple, a big small tree, are either manicured trees or like fruit trees where they're separated. And then when that's the case, if you have a manicured tree, it's about as wide as it is, almost as wide as it is tall.
Well, I'm working on these wire trees, you know, and that's 53-foot HO scale semi-tree.
Yeah.
That's, you know, about prototypical on some smaller, younger trees.
Right.
But you get into like an old growth forest or something, or like the trees out in front of my house, probably over 100-year-old trees, they tower over a 3-story house.
Oh yeah. And that's wire tree. I haven't done anything with it in a long time. I need to finish it up, but that's 13, 14 inches tall and, you know, quite wide and bushy. So
that's basically in the ballpark of a 100-foot tree.
yeah. And it would be at 12 inches. It'd be 87 feet. It's about 100. It's about a 100-foot tree. And for a standalone oak tree, you know, it's a big yard. That's
it's like the grain silos that I'm working on too. You know, they're almost 18 inches tall, or 16 inches tall, which equates like 180 something foot in HO scale, which is, you know, about what they are out there in the real world. There's some that are taller, some that are shorter.
Yeah, again, the ones you find commercially, the ones that are proliferated commercially, the Walters, for example, You know, they're grain elevators. They're usually they're about 70 or 80 feet tall. But you almost never see a grain elevator that short. I don't know. In my part of the country, I don't know of a grain elevator anywhere that's under 100 feet.
Not unless it's actually on a farm. You might see them that short.
Yeah, well, if it's private, will. But if it's a commercial property, it's going to be.
I'm talking about the concrete silos, not the.
There's ones in this area, Ron, that are concrete that are privately owned. They're owned by the farm.
Most of the ones around here, they have a leg, but they usually have steel bins. But I'm sure that's
And like the coal silos where they store coal in them, those are 180, 200 feet. I mean, they're massive. And 200 feet. Well, I mean, a 160-foot structure in HO. Okay, so 170, whatever, 180-foot structure should be 2 feet tall in HO scale, and that's about appropriate. So.
That's why people ask me, why did you make such a, I've got a 9.5 turn helix, and I get that question all the time. Why did you make such a big helix? Because I've got 2 decks and I've got grain elevators on the lower deck, and I want to be able to see the top of them. And you still can't see, standing up, you still can't see the top of the head house on it. You gotta get down at eye level to see the top of the head house. But you can see the tops of the silos.
Well,
and I've designed
Randy's Rock and Roll Railroad. I think he just put it in perspective. I have been in the tree service industry for over 30 years, and his analogy is trees are big.
Trees are big.
If you don't believe it, just let one fall on you.
I agree.
We had this conversation once before, and I was talking about the pine beside the house. Our house is a 3-story old Victorian built in the 1880s. The picture that I have from it in late 1880s, the tree was there then. It's still there now. The house is 3 stories, and this thing is over 3 times the height of the house.
Wow.
I mean, it scares my wife to death. If this thing comes down across the house, it's not going to just dent the roof.
Well, it's like I was saying. This house here is a 1911 home. It's got 12-foot ceilings. It's basically a 2-story house, but it sits up about 4 foot off the ground, and then it's got this attic with almost a 10-foot ceiling in it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Might as well say it's a 3-story house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some.
And the 2 maple trees out here out front tower over it.
Yeah.
And they're only about this big around. So,
yeah, I've got a maple in front of this one. It's kind of been stunted because of the street and the sidewalks and stuff have hampered the root growth. So it's not the full maturity, but it's taller than the house is even still, and it's over 100 years. It's not as old as this other one, but it's over 100 years.
It's kind of amazing as modelers that you just kind of look at the world differently, and you go, "Oh, that's something I want to bring into the layout."
Well, I've grown up my whole life. Most of my life in Kentucky, and most of my young life was outdoorsy, out in the woods. I understood a little about trees way back when. But in the last couple of years, since I've been staring at so much at trees, as I drive up and down the highway, every time looking at trees, looking at pictures, trying to recreate trees, getting them right, and how far away from right most modelers are has astonished me. I mean, some of my favorite layouts out there don't get trees and vegetation right, or even grasslands right. Now, there's people who do, but they are a few exceptions. Gordon Gravitt is a British modeler who literally wrote the book on trees, making wire trees. He wrote a book on conifers, one on deciduous trees, and one on grasslands. And they're British, but the language difference is not that far away. So, but they're spectacular books. If you could, on Amazon's got copies of them.
I can't ever get pine trees to look great. I try them, and I just haven't got it yet.
Pine trees, evergreens are tough. I mean, conifers are really, really hard. They're massively. Actually, any of the foreground trees are massively time consuming. Sterling Models is about the only manufacturer of a tree that I've seen, especially a conifer, that has done a good job. Now, you're talking about a $25 per tree price. So if you need just a few of those, great.
Every one of them's handmade.
Yep, handmade, and they're made with like a asparagus fern. I've got a tree I made with asparagus fern, and then they're static grassed. That's kind of the trick to that is, and Miles has made some that are about, he's got a few that are about 3 feet tall since he does O-Scout. He used to model Colorado. He's got some that are about 3 feet tall, and he took a big, dowel, an inch and a quarter dowel, and ground that sucker down, and then drilled a bunch of holes and put asparagus fern in it and grassed it with a grass gun. You could do it, but I could spend 8 hours on a big deciduous tree and not feel too bad about it. So when I say that when I built a conifer, it was time consuming. It was time consuming compared to 8 hours. So,
all right, Dwight has got a comment. Y'all been talking about full-size mature trees. You don't have to use all mature trees, do you? They do start out as small trees.
Yep.
Well, yeah, we're talking like old, forest on a mountainside where you're going to have a bunch of older, taller trees. But now when you get closer to the rails, you might have a bunch of younger saplings and 5-10-year-old trees down closer to rails where they've come through and trimmed things back, or they cut them all out to lay the rails, and now they're growing back.
When Era, surprisingly, I've looked at a lot of pictures of this, the Era you model is amazingly how much has changed there. If you model the modern Era in Appalachia, along the track right away, it's pretty clear. And the hillsides are covered in trees. I modeled just post-World War II in 1950. Now you're the exact opposite, as odd as that sounds. Along the right-of-way, there's trees overhanging the trackage back then. But they clear-cut a lot of sections of the hillside. This section of my layout back up here is completely forested on the prototype today. But in 1950, it was grass-covered hills, some because of farm animals that they had there. You had a lot of people who had cattle and stuff, even in Appalachia. But a lot of it was for the war effort. I mean, the war emergency freight cars that they built of all types that were wood. They cut wood down everywhere they could to build that stuff with for the war effort. So it made the geography.
They're probably using local lumber for ties and stuff too.
Absolutely. They didn't ship all that stuff around. So era matters a lot. That's why pictures, as much, Ralph says, look at a picture. Anybody who's good at weathering will tell you, look at a picture without question. People who build structures, scratch-building structures, tell you to do that too. I say the same thing when it comes to scenery, and you've got to look at pictures that are era appropriate because it just looks different, a lot different.
If you go back even a little further to the turn of the last century, I mean, all the towns heated with wood, they built with wood. So if you lived anywhere near a town, you did not have big trees except for maybe 1 or 2 that was saved here and there, and you had a lot of open area.
Yep.
Except for the woods, in the boonies. But if you were modeling a city area, you did not find big trees because they were fire and everything else.
Right, fire problem stuff, yeah. And the like social thinking or the cosmetics of places just changed,
Oh, yeah.
Sometime in the 70s or 80s, we decided we needed more trees in cities, and they started cutting holes in concrete, plant trees. You go back into the 40s, I don't see any of that in the cities I'm looking at.
No, in a park, but not along streets.
Right.
There weren't a lot of parks back then.
It
They
depends
were
on the city, but yeah.
Parks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just have to be era appropriate and things. I mean, even when it comes to scenery and trees, they massively change based on what, where, and when is just as much as the others.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm gonna call it a night here.
See, buddy.
Jim,
Yeah.
Jim, hang on a second there, Jim.
Uh-oh.
Check out the chat.
Check out the chat.
There's a good link for you to look on making trees.
For the pine trees?
Yep. Any
Nice.
kind of trees.
He's talking about the chat here in the panel.
Down the bottom right-hand corner.
Gotcha.
Somewhere, and I don't remember where I saw it. Somebody on YouTube had a channel that showed, you know, the spruces, the way they have the pendulous limbs. And if you go to a sewing department, they have this material. It's called eyelash material. It's used for edging fabrics and stuff. But it has kind of that pendulous habit to it. And this guy had taken every single limb and added this eyelash material to all that, and then used the finest static grass on all those pendulous things. And it was the most incredible pendulous spruce tree I had ever seen in my life. I picked up some of that. I want to play with it at some point in time, because it was just unreal. I mean, it was really unreal.
Okay, I can one before I go to bed here. I ended up trimming my beard one night, and I took all those shavings out of the sink. I see Andy smiling, and I saved that for actually like pine needles, and it worked out okay.
Yeah.
But I thought it was kind of ironic because I was actually, you know, literally putting myself into the layout.
Blood,
sweat.
Blood, sweat, statically charged too, so you may be able to play with that with hair to, you know, some degree.
Blood, sweat, tears.
Yeah, right.
And hair. I tried that too. I cut it some too, and I just glued it to a little piece of styrofoam I had laying there to look. I wanted the forest floor of needles. I ended up just using static grass and packing it into the glue, because they have a certain look when they're laying on the ground, and it's unique. But I used the smallest little static grass I could, and just packed it into the glue and pushed it down with my thumb to kind of get. And it I like the effect. And then I used like a rust-colored oil paint, so it would soak in, and soaked it in that out of a dropper or something. I like the results.
You putting that in the show chat?
I'm trying to.
Okay.
Thank you, Ralph. I'll check that out. I appreciate
It's
it.
a great lake. The way that guy that Ralph's talking about does his the bodies with or the structure using sawdust and glue basically to make a paste. It's a great mechanism for getting that texture, and I think I argue that in so many ways with a lot of modeling. There's a lot of modeling, and people rarely think about texture. They do color, and that's why I know Ralph's not a big fan of powders, but I like powders for some things, like putting on the sides of the rails, because you can see the texture of the rust with the rust powders on the sides of the rails, and paint alone just doesn't do it for me.
While we're talking about trees, Andy, I do still have a big box in the basement with all those tree bases from that spirea I told you I was going to ship to you. I filled this big old box, and I took it to ship it, and I hadn't mailed anything in a long time, and it's an oversized box. They said, "Oh, it's going to be $45." I said, "It weighs like 3 pounds." She said, $45. I said, and I brought it home, and I still haven't packaged anything into a smaller box to ship out to you. Eventually that'll happen. But
well, we'll get together sometime, and I'll send you the shipping. Obviously, I'll pay you the shipping fee. But I'll send you Baker's boxes of sagebrush that he had, everything he had of sagebrush. 2 Baker's boxes full of that stuff, and it was about $50 a box to send it. But I tell you what, I'd pay that $100 in a heartbeat. Anybody decides they want to send me 2 big boxes of sagebrush, I got the $100 with their name on it anytime. Because if you buy the stuff from Scenic Express, nothing against that. I buy all kinds of product from Scenic Express, but they will sell you 5 structures, arbiters, whatever, 5 pieces of sagebrush for like $25 or $30. $5. So,
and they're small. Woodland Scenic new product or Forest Canopy.
Forest Canopy, it looks nice.
Yeah, that is.
All right, guys.
Later. But it's not far from
Have a good night.
Okay, I managed to get it into the chat, and if anybody's interested, It's railroad-line, so railroad-forum/topic.asp?topic_ID equals 23011.
And honestly,
that's the address to the link.
That's easy for you to say.
That's right. That's a weird PHP, PHP syntax. But Railline Forums is a spectacular, one of the best. Him and Model Railroad hobbyists are about the source to go find something on the internet, but trade stuff.
Yep.
So you could probably go to Railline Forums and search for, tree.
Well, actually, if you do that, it falls under foliage made out of garden, pond, and aquarium fibers. That's the title of the...
Yeah, and he gets good results out of that, and I've used a little bit of that filter fiber, and in background trees, it's not awful. To me, I always see the puffballiness of it or something. I just can't get excited about that. Even if you put it on a stick, I can't get excited about it.
The one thing that he does on his, what do you call them? Deciduous is the broadleaf, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the deciduous trees, on the tips of the branches, he uses 10 or 12 millimeter static grass on the tips of the branches. And he uses a static grass applicator to do it.
Absolutely.
And then he puts the flocking on afterwards.
Yeah, I use paintbrush bristles. I've used paintbrush bristles, and that's basically of these little cheap 50-cent little chip brushes. I'm a huge fan of these things. Every time I go to Walmart, I buy a dozen of these things. I use them for everything and throw them away, but cut them up. And I've made undergrowth with them. Stick them into spray adhesive, but I did that on some trees too. And I got the idea from Selkirk Leaf, my favorite leaf company and leaf manufacturer from up in Canada. And Selkirk Leaf sells a whatever, but it's paintbrush bristles basically cut up. And their instructions for how to do this stuff is to spray it with Super 77 and let it tack up, and then roll it up like Joey Ricard does when he's put the grass work down, where you roll it up like a cigar or like a Play-Doh steak, pull it apart, kind of dab it in and pull away. And you do that into the tree and pull it away so that the arbiter, the wiriness of it is coming from the branch and outbound. And they're stiffer than static grass, and they hold the leaf flake real well.
As I've been doing my horticultural duties this year and collecting seed this fall and a lot of things, I started looking closer at all the stuff I collect through the year and prune. Because man, I'm finding stuff that I've overlooked before, and I'm pretty good about this stuff because I don't have money and I save everything I can use that I can. But I have found several new sources this year of things that are pretty freaking incredible. I can't believe I've missed before.
Well, they're better. It's not even about the money. There's not you can make wire trees. You cannot buy for any amount of money a deciduous tree as good as you could make out of either properly done wire or out of sagebrush. You can't buy it. It's not on the market.
No.
So it's not just saving money items. A lot of this, and with a lot of the scenery materials, you can't buy a scenic ground cover that looks like dirt as much as dirt looks like dirt.
Yeah, right.
And there's companies out there that sell it. Buster Motor Works, I'm pretty sure, is the company that sells dirt. And he goes out into his parents' backyard. He's an older fellow, so he goes back to his dad's house and goes up there, digs it up, filters it, runs a magnet through it, and sells it in cans. So, by all means, if you lived in New York and access to dirt is a little harder to come by, I live in Kentucky. Dirt's not hard. So.
To say that makes less sense than buying water.
Yeah, right.
But he said on one of the podcasts, and I think it was on Lionel's when he was talking to him, but I could be wrong. he was talking on one of the podcasts about it. And he says, I would have never thought this would have sold. And he said, so I did like 50 bottles of it or 20 bottles, whatever it was. He said, it was gone in a heartbeat. He says, I cannot make it up as fast. I stay out of it. And he's selling a can, whatever, that size something for $7 or $8. And people buy it like crazy. And it's dirt, literally dirt.
Mm-hmm. So the plant that super trees are made from is called seafoam.
Yeah.
And if you Google seafoam seeds, you'll have a whole thing. The actual name is Taloxus aristata.
Yeah, we had looked this up once before. Jim in Michigan, our buddy, our very thrifty buddy that we all miss, I think, was talking about growing seafoam, and I have forgot to get excited about that. But by this spring, I have got to order some of that. And I don't have a green thumb. My silk plants, my fake trees in my office aren't safe around me. I'd kill anything, but I'm pretty sure my wife could grow it. So,
well, we got one here. PK and W Railroad just joined in. Want to know if he missed a discussion on making palm trees. No, PK, you didn't. We're going to let you show us how to do that next week.
Luke Tower, YouTube, Luke Tower. He printed or laser, bought like a Cricut. I think you use a Cricut to cut them out, or he printed them out and cut the leaves out, the frauds, and then made up a wireframe. And that's the best palm tree I've ever seen, hands down.
Didn't Kathy do something on palm trees one time too?
Yeah, she did something like that. She cut out some leaves of some exotic plants, maybe for that jungle thing she was doing or something. But
yeah.
But Luke Taylor did a whole thing on the palm tree. He made up that grassy material that hangs from it. And I mean, he did the whole thing, and it's I can't imagine a person could improve on that much.
It was good.
Yes.
Also, with like palm trees, you don't have to necessarily use your Cricut. You can go buy them little craft stampers at Walmart. They got palm leaf designs in them.
Well, I'd like to find one of those. There's some companies that make oak, maple leaf stampers for O scale and for mill scale, 1/35 scale. I have not seen a way to get a leaf shaped like that in HO scale, and I would love to have some of those. I can't find, even leaf flake does not look right up close and in detail. I use and I was using actual dead leaves out of the yard. I was grinding them up, but they lose their color. So they break down, they turn to dirt on your layout. But, the Scenic Express leaf flake is good as I found, so I do use that material. But it doesn't look great up closer in a detailed seed. The best thing I found for that, like where I want it in little piles between the rails of some sidings, I want leaves laying there. Tobacco. Break it up tobacco. It's the best looking dead leaf fall, a fresh leaf fall, like what would be, in little piles along the right of way. Buy you a big bag of, some kind of pipe tobacco or something. It looks as good as anything I've seen.
Didn't somebody do something about preserving the leaves? Keep them from going ahead and decaying?
I've tried it several ways. I soaked a bunch of them in glycerin, like I do my sagebrush. I soaked the sagebrush in glycerin. I tried doing it that way, and maybe there's a little difference, but I can't see much. I put it down, and then so I've done it several different places. Back here, it's quite dark because this was the earliest, and I didn't pre-treat it at all. But I don't think this newer stuff's that much difference. And I also got Mod Podge spray, so you can seal it in. I still can't see that much difference. It breaks down. And quickly, a couple years, it has changed to a quite dark color. So I have, and I'll use it in the background. I'll use it for the dark undergrowth or dark floor that I want. But in any foreground seeds and all this area along the front of the layout here, that stuff that you see right there, That's all the Scenic Express stuff because I've just lost the. I just have not found a mechanism to take leaves and keep the color. I'm really trying to paint some of the ones I got down there. Get some orange paint, take my hairbrush and spray, but I think I'm going to mess them up even when I do that. So,
well, if they decay and fall off your trees, Andy, at least then you can just change your seasons.
Well,
So-
I've said before, if I had found this tree mechanism that I'm using now with the sagebrush, if I had found that mechanism or knew to build them that way 3 years ago when I started this layout, if I did that, I would be modeling winter. I just did not think I could make winter quality trees. And a super tree looks fine in the background and with foliage on it. But a blank, naked super tree doesn't look like a winter tree. So, but if I had found this sagebrush thing, I'd be modeling winter.
I found your good source for this seafoam. Did it come up? No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
there it
did.
goes.
It
Yeah.
was up for a second.
There it is.
5,000 seeds for 1546.
Wow.
And
Oh
they
my
are
God.
located in
Michigan.
Michigan.
Defford, Michigan.
Will you drop that link in the chat? Because I am all over that. I'll pay $50 to see if I can do that. I bought one small box and 2 big boxes of super trees so far. So $120 each for the big boxes and whatever, $25, $30 for the small box. I've already spent $275, $300 in super tree, and I have about a third of my current layout covered. So even as cheap as that is, even with that mechanism, it's still $2,000 worth of super trees.
All right. Well, tell you what, we hit the 1.5 mark, so we're gonna go ahead and shut this one down. Call it a night. Y'all sharpen up your chainsaws. Next week we'll cut the trees down.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, appreciate everybody coming in. Appreciate everybody over here on the chat. It'll let me get back over here so I can press a few buttons. I want to thank everybody here in the panel too for coming in. Lee, good seeing you. Glad to see you're finally doing something for a change. All right.
And
You want to go to YouTubeMallBuilders.com. There you can check the schedule for the Tuesday, Wednesday shows. Those are at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern time. The Thursday night show is 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern time. I got that one right without tripping over my tongue. Be sure to sign up for an email notification for the eMag when it comes out. And we've got, this is February the 1st, so February the 7th is going to be the Arduino show, which will be next Wednesday. That'll be 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern time. And the week after that, on the 13th, will be the Fine Scale show with our very own Andy and Ralph that we have here on the panel. So if you don't see enough of them here, tune in on the 13th and you get to see more of them again. And we'll even throw Miles Hale in just to spice it up a little bit. So y'all have a good night, have a good weekend, and we shall see you next week for the Arduino show. So have a good one.